What up? Damn, AJ. Back at it again with another episode of the Keep It 100 podcast. You know what it is. It's fight week. Big pay-per-view this weekend. UFC 274. Oliveira versus Gaichy. A matchup, a fight card you do not want to miss. Out of the 4 pay-per-views that the UFC has had this year, this one is by far the most stacked card of the year. I'm talking you got Shogun Rua versus Ovince St. Preux, a throwback rematch from way back in 2015. You got another old school throwback match, Joe Lozon versus Cowboy Cerrone. I mean, are we living in 2011? My gosh. Then you got a big matchup in the lightweight division, Michael Chandler versus Tony Ferguson. That's a fight you don't want to miss. You got 1 or 2 title fights on the line between Rose Namajunas and Carla Esparza, a rematch of their fight all the way back from 2014. Then you got the big one, the one we're all tuning in for, Charles Oliveira versus Justin Gaichy. That is one of the fights that I have no idea what's going to happen. And I love those type of fights that always have me befuddled, where I have no idea who is going to win. But I got to give my predictions. I got to help you guys win money. You guys want to bet on the over? You want to bet on the other? You guys want to make some money? Take your girlfriend out on a nice date? You know what to do. Hit that subscribe button to hear all my picks for this weekend's fight. Even the prelims are pretty stacked. You got Blagoy Ivanov versus Marcos de Limas. Brandon Royval versus Matt Schnell. How that is not the main event on the prelims is beyond me. I mean, whoever makes the card truly needs to get looked at, or even put me as the person, because I know I'd make a better card than half of these people would. No disrespect, but I just want to know why Matt Schnell versus Brandon Royval is not at least the main event on the prelims, because that is a big fight in the flyweight division. But nonetheless, like I said, you got Joe Lozon, Donald Cerrone kicking off the pay-per-view. That's always fun, a throwback. Ovince St. Preux versus Shogun Rua, major throwback as well. I'm going to give you my prediction on the 3 main fights. Tony Ferguson, Michael Chandler. Let's start there. Tony Ferguson is entering his 11th year in the UFC. It's his first fight since 2021 of last year, since he fought Beneil Dariush. That's not his nickname. I just like to call him that. Tony Ferguson was on a tear starting in 2013 all the way to 2020. 7-year run that didn't see him lose that many rounds. I mean, let's not forget, he was talked about as one of the scariest lightweights in the world. He was the interim lightweight champion. He was scheduled to fight Khabib in what is perhaps the most cursed fight in combat sports history, until he met Justin Gaichy, a foe that would ultimately snatch everything that Tony Ferguson has ever worked for and really claim his stake in the lightweight division, where Tony Ferguson has suffered setback after setback, but not against scrubs. He lost to the interim title that fought against Khabib and ultimately lost. Then he lost to the champion in Charles Oliveira in a dominant decision loss. And many of us were thinking, well, Tony Ferguson, he ain't really on the outs of his career, but he's losing to the top of the division. Maybe it's time he takes a step back into competition. He fought Beneil Dariush at UFC 262 of last year and got outclassed, almost as bad as the Charles Oliveira loss. And we were thinking, man, what does he need to get a win? What does he need to get back to his winning ways? He'd taken almost a year off. It has been a year off. He fought May of last year. And now he's fighting a guy who I think is a terrible matchup for him in Michael Chandler. Michael Chandler, as we all know, former Bellator champion, came over, fought Dan Hooker at UFC 257, really made a statement in the division, fought for a world title in just his second UFC fight. People were mad about that, but I don't know why they were, because we've seen more and more people get title shots after just one fight or a loss in their career. Lost to Charles Oliveira in a fight that he should have won, by far. Should have won that fight, but, it's to the champ, Charles Oliveira. Then decided to get in a war with Justin Gaichy and probably fight of the year for 2021. That fight was different because I feel Michael Chandler truly played into Justin Gaichy's hand. What I mean by that is that he fought Justin Gaichy's fight. Whereas we all saw, if Michael Chandler fights his fight, he comes out the victor, and maybe we're seeing a rematch with him and Charles this Saturday night instead of Justin and Charles. So both of these men, they're at a spot in their career where they need a win. Michael Chandler even stated in a few interviews, yeah, I gave the fans a treat and given them the fight of the year, but I need to start winning again. And I feel like this fight is the perfect fight to springboard him back into title contention against Tony Ferguson. Tony Ferguson is old in dog years and in UFC years, but also I just don't think he has the magic that he once had. I feel like all that is gone. He doesn't hit as hard as Michael Chandler does. If it goes to the ground, though, I do give it an advantage for Tony Ferguson, but as far as the stand-up goes, Michael Chandler just has too much power, too much range, too much forward pressure that a lot of those wrestlers bring into the octagon. So I think Chandler gets the job done, second round TKO. That is probably the fight I'm looking forward to most on the entire card. Now let's go into the first title fight, the first of two, Rose Namajunas, Doug Rose, against Carla Cookie Monster Esparza, Craig and Carla from next Friday. Yeah. Big fight, really big fight. You know, Rose is at that point in her career where she's just going to have nothing but rematches. And the strawweight division is kind of stacked. The only one that truly deserves a shot at the title outside of Carla Esparza is Tatiana Suarez, but she can't seem to shake the injury bug lately. So why not throw in the person that Carla Esparza defeated for the belt in Rose Namajunas? Remember that season where Anthony Pettis and Gilbert Melendez coached, where it was an all-female cast, and the winner would become the UFC's inaugural strawweight champion. Rose Namajunas was a very low seed in the competition. Carla Esparza was the highest seed in the competition. Many people thought she'd be the one running the table and winning the title, and that's what she did. What we didn't see, though, was a star emerging in Rose Namajunas, a person that showed she was human as a fighter, a person that showed that you can be nervous about something but still go and whoop ass. I mean, Rose earned my respect on that show. I watched her grow up through that show on The Ultimate Fighter. And I'm going to have to watch this first fight again because, one, they were babies. It was 8 years ago that this fight took place. They were babies. Carla, that was her time. That was her time. She fought her fight, take you down, beat you up, and either pound you into submission or I'm going to get you in some sort of submission hold and tap you out. And that's ultimately what happened in that first fight. She got Rose down, beat her up, got her in a rear naked choke, and there it was, your first inaugural women's strawweight champion in Carla Esparza. Truly, I thought that Carla would have a few title defenses under her belt. At least 3. None like Ronda Rousey or Joanna Jędrzejczyk, who she ultimately would succumb to in her next fight, her first title defense, when Joanna would come and run the table and truly dominate fighter after fighter. No one thought she would be beat until Doug Rose came along and shocked the world and defeated her. Rose went on some hard times, fought Weili Zhang, and got the belt back in one of the most electrifying knockouts you will ever see in women's MMA. That is one of my favorite knockouts in women's MMA, bar none. Rose Namajunas is my ultimate favorite women's fighter on the planet. You know how Conor McGregor is my all-time favorite fighter? Well, as far as the women go, and on the women's side, Rose Namajunas is my number one. She is my Conor McGregor. Whenever she fights, I know it's intense, and it's going to be a big night, and it's going to be a great night, because I know she's going to win. Like I said before, though, her and Carla were babies. They were babies. Rose, it's her time. Rose has shown she is one of the best women fighters on the planet Earth, and I think she's going to continue to show that on Saturday night by defeating Carla. It's going to be hard, though. Carla has improved. She's obviously racked up a few more wins that have earned her a shot at this title, but I just don't see what Carla could do differently that Rose hasn't seen. Rose has evolved so much on the ground game. Her stand-up is much better than Carla Esparza's, and if there's one area of fighting that Carla struggles with, it's the stand-up. Let's not forget that's how Joanna took the belt off of her, by stuffing all of her takedown attempts, keeping the fight on the feet, and just TKOing her punching her head around like a pinball machine until the referee stepped in and stopped it. I do see Rose winning a close fight, and in fact, I think Rose is going to get her get back in a way that Carla won't be expecting, and that's via submission. I do see Rose winning via fourth round rear naked choke, extremely similar to how Carla defeated her to win her title back in 2014. That leads into the main event of the evening, Charles Oliveira versus Justin Gaichy. As I stated at the top of the show, this is a fight where I have no idea who's gonna win. I have no idea. This fight has who knows written all over it. And I love a who knows because I could be definitely wrong or I could be definitely right. Now, Charles Oliveira, true rag to riches story. That guy couldn't catch a break to save his life when he was in the UFC. He's been in the UFC for a very long time. Since 2009, I believe, is when he made his promotional debut. He's been up and down his entire career. Finally went on a win streak. Finally got some big breaks. Finally got some eyeballs on him. Defeating Kevin Lee. Defeating Tony Ferguson. Becoming the first fighter to ever win by calf slicer in the UFC against Nick Lentz. This guy was a monster. And he finally got the title against Michael Chandler at UFC 262. If there was any fighter that deserved to win a title more than him, find it for me. Because that guy deserved to win a belt. You can maybe throw in Glover Teixeira, maybe the Korean Zombie, but even though he didn't win the belt, that's one guy that should win. But as far as guys that should have won the belt and did, it's between him, Charles Oliveira, and Glover Teixeira. So he had that title defense against Dustin Poirier. He could have fought Conor McGregor, but, Conor got hurt. And, a lot of people didn't think he would win. A lot of people thought it's Dustin Poirier's time. Dustin Poirier is going to go out there and absolutely dominate with those wins over Conor. No one saw Dustin getting defeated. But Oliveira weathered the storm. He got rocked a few times in that first round. Came back in the second. Took Poirier down. Won that round back. And ultimately knew what he had to do. And finished via submission, rear naked choke in the third round. So, Charlie O's not one to be messed with. He is the champion for a reason, as cliche as it sounds. There is one big caveat in this fight, though, on both men. Let's not forget Justin Gaichy came into the UFC in 2017, defeating Michael Johnson. I was there at that fight. He was losing, came back from the brink of defeat, and got his very own TKO stoppage in a Fight of the Year candidate. He lost to Eddie Alvarez in another Fight of the Year candidate for the title of most violent men in the sport. Lost to Dustin Poirier via TKO in yet another crazy fight. Every fight that Justin Gaethje is in is not boring. I'll give him that. He defeated James Vick after that. He defeated Edson Barbosa. He defeated Cowboy Cerrone. Won 3 straight en route to defeating Tony Ferguson for the interim UFC lightweight championship. After that, he went and fought Khabib Nurmagomedov in which was one of his worst performances ever. I mean, that guy had a terrible performance. Looked so timid against Khabib that he just couldn't seem to pull a trigger when he knew he had to stop one thing. And given that his main background is in wrestling, knowing that he couldn't stop Khabib is pretty sad. He landed a few big punches on Khabib, had Khabib wobbled a bit in that first round, but ultimately succumbed to what everyone else succumbed to against Khabib, and that was a submission on the ground. He got mauled, and I did not think that would happen. I put all my eggs in one basket thinking that Justin Gaethje would defeat Khabib Nurmagomedov, and he let me down, dude. He let me down. Didn't fight like himself. Fought like someone totally scared, where people were hyping him up to be the next guy to defeat Khabib, and I wouldn't even base it on Khabib being that good. You could base it on Justin Gaethje being that bad. And I know I have a picture with this man, but still, you gotta wonder what was going on in his mind in that fight. If he couldn't defeat a Khabib Nurmagomedov that was sick with measles and that had broken toes and a broken foot, I'm sorry. But maybe you're just not destined to be a champion. And I know that's a Skip Bayless take from me in the MMA world, but that's just my feeling. He fought Michael Chandler. Now, let's be honest. If Michael Chandler, like I said earlier, had he fought that fight with the ability that he is capable at, Michael Chandler would have won. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Michael Chandler fought his fight for about a minute, 2 minutes. And then he let go and fought his own style of fighting, Justin Gaethje's style of fighting, and that led to Justin Gaethje putting on one of the best performances ever. But it was all due to Michael Chandler abandoning his own game plan. Charles Oliveira is not going to abandon his own game plan. He's going to go out there, fight his own fight. Now, I know he's saying he wants to stand and trade with Justin Gaethje, and I don't know if that'll bode well for him. Down to the caveats. The big caveat on Charles Oliveira's part is he gets hit, and he gets hit a lot. In that Michael Chandler fight, he lost that first round because he got dropped and pounded on the ground to the point where the ref was so close to stepping in and stopping it. In that fight with Dustin Poirier, he got rocked again, got dropped to a knee, and ultimately to his back. Another part of the fight where the referee was going to have to step in and stop it. He had to weather the storm, he had to come back, and he had to just weather the storm. He had to weather the storm, for lack of a better term. I know that's the phrase of the day, but that's what he had to do in order to win. Can he weather that storm against Justin Gaethje? Because Justin Gaethje throws everything with so much intent, he gets over careless with his shots, which leads to him being off balance. Charles gets hit, and we all know if Justin Gaethje hits you, you're going night-night, you're looking up at the lights, asking what happened. Unless Charles has a game plan to counterattack, then I can see how he could win this fight, which is his bread and butter, the ground game, which leads to Justin Gaethje's caveat. His ground game is not good. We saw it in the Khabib Nurmagomedov fight. He got taken down easily, despite his records, his accolades as a Division I All-American wrestler. He got taken down with ease. If Khabib Nurmagomedov can take you down that easily, so can Charles Oliveira. With that being said, though, it's going to be tough. But if there is this game plan that Justin Gaethje and Charles Oliveira are going to stand and trade, you got to give the advantage to Justin Gaethje. And that's exactly what Charles Oliveira said he wanted to come out and do. So I got Justin Gaethje winning first round KO. I just don't see how Charles can weather the storm. I just don't see if he gets hit by Justin, if he'll come back and really recover. Charles Oliveira, he does not quit. I'll give him that. He does not quit. But there's a difference when you get hit a lot and don't quit and when you get hit and get knocked the fuck out. And I think that's what's just going to happen here. I think Justin's power is going to be too much. He doesn't really have to worry about the threat of a takedown like he did with Khabib. I'm hoping he could make me right this time. And if he doesn't, then Justin Gaethje, man, I don't know. But there you have it. Those are my picks. Michael Chandler, second round TKO. Rose Namajunas, fourth round submission. Justin Gaethje, first round TKO. Sign it, seal it, deliver it, send it to the sports book. Go get your money off Saturday night. You guys know what to do. Hit that subscribe button. Comment on who you think's going to win the fights this weekend. It's your boy Hollywood AJ. Stay up, stay safe, stay healthy. I'll be back. I'm out.